A criminal does not have to hold a gun to be a threat, and crime does not have to be violent to be destructive.
Some offenders are that more dangerous because they dress in the suit of respectability. They sit in a place of power and influence and hide behind their name and position.
White-collar crime, corruption, fraud, the respectable man's crimes. How much longer will they go unpunished?
Crime Stop Jamaica and National Bakery, in association with TVJ and our sponsors, Guardsman, Home and Things, Careers Jamaica, Grace Kennedy, Progressive Grocers and Musson Foundation, present CS311 with Deirdre Dixon and Leroy Hall.
Walk down the street and commit robbery or rape, and the entire community calls for your head. But in crimes like bribery, tax evasion, extortion, corruption, opinions are definitely divided.
A driver slips a policeman some cash to escape a speeding ticket. A businessman does some creative accounting to avoid paying taxes. Or an official abuses his or her position for the sake of personal gain and power. Some say it's just life in Jamaica, but others know better. DSP Rohan Reid from the JCF Anti-Corruption Unit gave us his take on the cost of corruption.
As you know, white-collar crime, in terms of how it is carried out by the actors involved, part of their mission is to hide how they carry out their activities, to deceive, and of course to profit financially. They make it as difficult as they possibly can for law enforcement to have significant challenge to unearth and unravel the scheme. Speaking now from a MOCA perspective, we have several major cases before our courts. Those major cases are really within the remit of what we term as white-collar crime. There are matters where players within the drugs trade, they are involved and have been charged, and they would have been supported by prominent persons within the legal fraternity, within the banking sector. And so certainly there is that nexus or that connection. When their freedom is at stake, they will go or pull out all the stops to prevent that. And if it means to take you out of the way, pay money from the proceeds of their criminal activities to get you executed, they'll do that. As we speak, we have detected a lot of activities within cyberspace in terms of persons hacking into financial institutions, network, and transferring monies from persons' accounts to accounts that they would have set up. It takes persons with a particular skill set to carry out that sort of activity. And so from a MOCA perspective, what we have sought to do, having identified this trend, is to seek to build out our investigative capacity through training, exposing our officers, our investigators to training that will put us in a position to be able to deal with it. We actually have some persons before the court now charged for offenses relating to what I've just mentioned, hacking into the financial institutions. So I'd say to the public, be alert, be aware, and continue to monitor your account. I know that some financial institutions, they have set up apps whereby you can get alert via phone if certain transaction is done through your account, and then you have an opportunity to respond whether or not you were the person who would have done such transaction. And I speak from experience in that regard, because we believe that this thing is wide scale, and so it would be a challenge really to put a number to it. But what I can safely say is that matters reported to us where we have found evidence that can connect to an individual or persons, we have sought to present that case before the court and have them prosecuted. White-collar crime, contrary to what many people may believe, it significantly impacts the economy. Persons siphon off monies from governmental institutions, from the financial institutions. It puts us in a very bad light. What you will find is that Financial institutions like the World Bank and other institutions that lends monies to our country, they'll be a bit hesitant. Investors will be a bit hesitant to do business with us because everybody that is investing, they want to know that their investment is protected. Because in the absence of investment, then we cannot call for salary increase and for better service from the state. And so I'd implore our people to really take a look at this and take it seriously, and seek to protect our interests as a nation.
Thank you, DSP Reed. Very eye-opening interview. Crimes like these white-collar crimes often pass by unnoticed, with few of us understanding the real consequences.
But other crimes are so horrifying and bloody, they will be spoken of for years to come. This is the case of our next featured crime that was played out in an unlikely place and against an unlikely victim.
Thursday night, January 2nd, 2017, in the community of Monticello Park in Mandeville, Manchester. Mr. Nathan Lyle, JP, a 70-year-old retired contractor and Hindu priest, was chopped to death. No. A recently hired property manager heard the screams and went to assist. He too was chopped as the machete-wielding murderer made good his escape. Mr. Nathan was rushed to the Mandeville Hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries while undergoing surgery.
The victim was my father. He was my guide and my friend. To have that part of my guidance and my friend gone, it's leaving a hole in my heart. Needless to say, I carry on, but I carry on with something missing. He always seemed to be like a Superman, like nothing could ever take him. Sometimes I can't even believe it right now. The rest of the family are in fear. Something as heinous as this, it takes away whatever hope and security that you think you may have, and you realize how vulnerable you are. They are trying to go to the United States where they believe they will be safer. This is very unsettling. It has broken up the entire family structure. My father was a great man. He had great visions for a spiritual center, non-profit educational center. So this entire vision and dream is only something that my father was capable of. I am not sure I can fill that great man's shoes in that regard. It would be good if the public could please help to give any information to bring some closure to the matter. This criminal is out there and other people are at danger. It could be your father, it could be your mother. Anybody is a victim. Remember, it's a failed robbery attempt. It can be my neighbor, it can be your neighbor, and it can be you. So please come forward with any information that we can put some closure to this and no one else will be killed.
Who is the machete murderer? What was his motive? Crime Stop is offering a reward totaling $100,000 for information that can bring this case to a close.
311. That's all it takes. Consider this. Some estimates say that $1 trillion are paid in bribes around the world each year. 1 trillion. And that is just the beginning.
Did you know? Brought to you by Carreras Jamaica.
It's hard to get worked up about corruption, fraud, and white-collar crime when you can't identify a victim. But did you know that according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, these crimes are crippling all of us? Corruption increases the cost of doing business by 10% on average. And a corrupt and unhealthy business environment discourages foreign investment that benefits especially the poor and the needy. Corruption wastes valuable public resources, swiping hard-earned cash out of the pockets of taxpayers. When contracts go to the highest briber, Limited funds are spent in the wrong places and spent on the wrong people. Corruption brings incompetent people into positions of power where they pose a threat to everyone. It often excludes the less privileged, while money is shared among the rich and well-connected. Most importantly, corruption destroys public trust and people's belief in the state and in the political process. Any of that sounds familiar? Who said nobody pays? The Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency, MOCA, is an independent body that was created to help to address corruption within the Jamaican society.
Think of the pain of waking up every morning, wondering and waiting. When will they call? Will they return? Dead or alive? These are our missing. Have you seen any of them?
Missing, brought to you by Progressive Grocers. 38-year-old Winston Crookshank, security guard of Waterford St. Catherine, has been missing since Tuesday, July 26, 2016. He is of dark complexion, slim build, and about 188 centimeters or 6 feet 2 inches tall. Mr. Crookshank was last seen in Old Harbour, St. Catherine. 29-year-old Dino Skeen of Bernard Lodge District, St. Catherine, has been missing since Sunday, May 21, 2017. He is of dark complexion, medium build, and about 165 centimeters or 5 feet 5 inches tall. Mr. Skeen was last seen at 2:30 p.m. on a farm in his community. He was wearing a yellow and black merino, green jeans, and a pair of black water boots. 28-year-old Wesley Campbell of Cooper's Pen, Trelawney, has been missing since Thursday, July 14, 2016. He is of fair complexion, slim build, and about 165 centimeters or 5 feet 5 inches tall. Mr. Campbell was last seen leaving home at 10 a.m. for an undisclosed location, dressed in an orange and white t-shirt, white shorts, and a pair of black shoes.
They say justice is blind and not influenced by class, color, or authority. But how true is that in a society where who you know is often more important than who you are? Let's take up this issue with Professor Trevor Monroe from National Integrity Action.
I think that we first need to understand the extent to which white-collar crime has impacted us. Many of us will recall the Olint David Smith case. The court case which found him guilty in Turks and Caicos Islands discovered that David Smith had carried down 6,000 Jamaicans to the tune of $220 million in various types of financial crime. Subsequent to that, the International Monetary Fund did a study, and they found that the Ponzi schemes in Jamaica, like David Smith's, Blue Farm and others, were taking away from our gross domestic product somewhere between 12.5% to 20% of Jamaica's GDP. If we got white-collar crime and corruption more under control, Jamaica's national security policy tells us that the per capita income, that's the average income of each Jamaican, could go up by 3 to 10 times. Where we rarely look and need to look more is at the facilitators of corruption. And again, our national security policy tells us that they are the folks who handle the money, the lawyers, the real estate brokers, the bankers, the businessmen who provide a respectable front to organized crime by way of corruption. The fact is that the white-collar criminals are much more difficult to catch because they use more complicated methods of crime than the street shotter or the street gunman. So, in order to deal with the highly placed, as many of them are, I think there are two main things. First of all, our investigators, our prosecutors, our judges need to be so trained to enhance their level of professionalism and integrity so that they would not take into account any social attachments. They may have gone to the same school or the same university, come from the same neighborhood as many of these white-collar criminals. And secondly, I think it's very important to increase their capacity, not just professionalism, the capacity of the investigators, the prosecutors, and the judges to come to grips with more complex forms of criminal activity associated with white-collar crime. And this is one of the reasons why National Integrity Action places so much importance on partnerships with the Office of the Chief Justice, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the JCF, and MOCA in developing weekend training seminars with specialists who are able to explain and to train in the complexities of white-collar crime. The media publishes the names of student defaulters on their student loans, even when very often there may be a good reason. Wanted criminals, even when they are not yet arrested, names and photographs. Can you imagine what an impact it would have if the white-collar criminals, when arrested, their name and photographs are published so that the people may know who they are? The second thing I suggest is that the professional associations and regulatory bodies, such as the General Legal Council, the Real Estate Dealers, Real Estate Board, need to take a very robust and vigorous stand in relation to members of their profession who are credibly accused of white-collar crime. The Legal Council, of course, debars attorneys and have done so, but we need to continue that and give it even more a robust profile. In fact, publishing those who have been debarred so that the public knows who they are. I think this is just a very important issue that has to be confronted, and the Jamaicans, man in the street, as well as those in the middle and at the top, need to be clear that this impacts each and every one of us. It was 25 years ago that Justice Wolf, as he was then, heading the National Task Force on Crime, actually said that we need to pursue the white-collar criminal with the same zeal as we pursue the man who is committing gun crimes.
Wise words, Professor Monroe. It's time to end the double standard. White collar, whitewash. I am told that Jamaica is the 68th least corrupt country out of 175 countries surveyed. But that figure is hardly comforting in a country that is bleeding from the consequences of corruption.
Change begins when we speak out. For example, do you know the hiding place of any of the following wanted men?
Burchell Craig of Macatree District, Brownshall, St. Catherine, is wanted in connection to a rape committed on Saturday, May 13, 2017 in Macatree District, his own community. Nesta Morrison, otherwise called Bigger, 33 years old, of Review Pen and Tankweld Hill, 10 miles Bull Bay, St. Thomas, is wanted in connection to a charge of shooting with intent. The incident took place in 9 miles Bull Bay on Gypsum Road on Wednesday, November 22, 2017. Ramon Stewart, otherwise called Bigfoot Pasley, 28 years old, unemployed, of South Lane, Friendship Drive, Red Pond, St. Catherine, is wanted in connection to a murder committed along the Fraser Content Main Road, St. Catherine, on Saturday, June 16, 2018 at 8:45 p.m.
More on white-collar crime and corruption in a moment. But not before, watch that scam.
Joe, I can't get a moment of peace to myself. Hello, Barry's residence, how may I help you?
Hello, Mr. Barry Warden?
Yes, who is this?
I'm calling from Quick Ship, Parcel and Freight Inc. in Chicago, Illinois.
Illinois?
Yes, sir, Chicago.
What do you want?
Just to let you know that your package is stuck in transit, so you will now need to pay the final shipping cost of $300 for it to be sent to Jamaica.
But I never order anything.
Your address is 3.5 Forest Hill Lane up on Mountain District, right?
Yes, but I never order anything.
I suspect that the package is sent from one of your relatives. They just did not send the full shipping cost.
Who is it coming from?
Can't give out that information, sir.
Well, I never ask anybody to send me anything.
How will you be paying?
I'm not paying.
But I have the package right here.
Look here, I'm not paying for anything that I don't know anything about. Send it back to where it is coming from.
Okay, just pay $200 US.
You deaf? I say I'm not paying for anything. Keep it.
Good move, Barry. If you know you did not order anything, don't pay. Dishonest persons always find creative ways to take your money. While you work, they scheme. Be aware, be smart, and always remember, idle tongue no must tell the truth. Don't be scammed.
We are counting on your help. The number is 311. Safety tips are next.
Safety Tips, sponsored by Guardsman. White-collar crime is one of the greatest challenges that businesses face. While you need to put some trust in your employees, you can't do so blindly. Consider these 5 ways of preventing white-collar crime in your business. It's never a good idea to allow one employee to handle all contracts, financial transactions, or fiscal management. Implementing a verification or checks and balances system may help to prevent white-collar crime in your business. White-collar crime often involves the internet. Be sure to use software in your business that closely monitors the websites, social media connections, and activities conducted by your employees. If your business does not already have an internet usage policy in place, create one. Work with a lawyer who can advise you on what to do if you suspect your employees are conducting illegal activities. A lawyer can inform you of your rights as a business owner, including how to go about pressing charges. Monitoring your employees helps to keep your business secure. Knowing they are being monitored could be an effective deterrent to criminal activities. Video recording systems are an effective tool for monitoring areas of temptation. A regular inventory check reduces the risk of theft. It is also a wise plan to check purchase orders against your inventory on an ongoing basis. These ways of reducing the risk of white-collar crime could help you to keep the doors of your business open. It requires an investment of time, energy, and resources. But the investment will be worthwhile because it greatly reduces your company's risk of dealing with the aftermath of white-collar crime.
Integrity and honesty are words that are not so popular anymore in a world where money and power are king and queen. That may be the root of white-collar crime and corruption.
But before you point a finger to the big man, consider this. Have you ever contributed to the problem? We leave you with that question. I am Deidre Dixon.
And I am Leroy Hall. CS311 returns next week. We'll be here. Will you?